You know you don't have to buy the Sony XM4 headphones, right? So as much as I love my Sony XM4s, I thought it was about time to look at some alternatives. More specifically, I wanted to look at 3 brands that could be worthy alternatives to the likes of Sony, Bose and Sennheiser, but which probably aren't on your list. So before we get started, all of the headphones were tested out of the box, no EQ treatment, and they were paired with a Galaxy S22 Ultra to play the music. So first up, we have the Cleer Enduro ANCs, which cost $149. These have 60 hours of battery life with a 10-minute charge delivering 2 hours of playback. There's noise cancelling with an ambient mode. There's enhanced call quality with 2 mics and clear voice capture and an 8th gen noise suppression thing. There's the Cleer Plus app that you can use for customizing the sound and the noise cancellation levels. There is no auto pause when you take these off your head, so the music carries on playing. Basically, they are a no frills take on noise cancelling headphones, with the main feature being that colossal 60 hours of battery life. Now, when it comes to the design and build quality, Cleer have used a mixture of plastic and metal, but I think for the price, they've actually done quite a good job. The buttons are nice and clicky, the plastic doesn't feel too cheap, and even the headband adjustment feels pretty good. It feels like it could put up with quite a bit of stick. They fold nicely. I think they're a decent size overall. I like the kind of understated design as well. They're not too garish, they're not too big on your head. I'm impressed with the way these look and feel. It's pretty good stuff. In terms of a case, you don't get one, you get a bag. Now, you probably know by now, I'm a bit of a broken record when it comes to the importance of headphone cases. They have to be good. They have to be as good or nearly as good as the gold standard, which is the Sony XM4 case. And this is a shame with the Enduros because this case goes against the overall build quality of these headphones, which, as I just mentioned, is actually really good. When it comes to the fit and comfort, the Enduros are very comfortable headphones, which they need to be given the fact that the long battery life is such a key selling point. The cushioning on the ear pads is really nice. I think the cushioning on the headband could be a bit better. That's where you start to see a bit of the budget nature of these headphones. But it doesn't seem to impact the overall comfort when they're on your head. There's no driver protrusion either, which is where you get like little kind of nubbins and things in here that kind of dig into your ears. That doesn't exist. And overall, I could wear these for quite a long time. Onto controls, and I love these headphones because they don't feature any kind of touch sensitive controls, which are my pet hate. All you have is 4 physical buttons on the side of the left, I think it is ear cup, and it's volume up, volume down, play and pause, and noise cancelling on and off. And I will not beat around the bush about this. These are a superb sounding pair of headphones. I played Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel on these. That's a brilliant track for testing headphones, by the way, and it just leapt out of these cans. There's definitely a dipped mid-range and the highs are a little bit boosted, but it's not by too much, and certainly it's not enough to get wearing after a while. And to top it off, the bass is nicely rounded, it's not too much. You might want to give it a little bit of EQing here and there, but for someone like me who just likes to get headphones out of the box and start using them, these aren't far off perfect. Noise cancellation is about par for the course, like most headphones these days. There is a bit of a hiss when music isn't playing, but it's not distracting, and they just do a good job overall of noise cancelling. The ambient mode, where you choose to let in outside noise like your voice and passing traffic and stuff, that's not bad either. It's not AirPods Max levels, but they are much more expensive headphones, but you can hear yourself clear enough to take calls and things like that, so that was quite impressive too. And on the subject of call quality, they are perfectly usable. The person I spoke to on the phone did say that I sounded louder than normal, but that's probably better than not sounding loud enough. And the ambient mode, like I mentioned, that works pretty well to hear yourself while you're talking. There's no doubting that the headline feature for these is that 60 hours of battery life, which is more than enough for anyone. But it does kind of gloss over what I think is the real benefit of these, which is the sound, which is just absolutely fantastic. I just wish they gave us a better case. That bag lets the entire package down. Despite that, if you're after a brilliant pair of noise cancelling headphones, which are on a par almost with the XM4s by Sony, the Enduros by Cleer are a brilliant option. Next up, we have another pair of headphones from Cleer. This time it is the Alpha. Now they're billed as Cleer's flagship noise cancelling wireless headphones. They apparently have enhanced wearing comfort, adaptive noise cancellation, and even spatial audio via something called Dirac Virtuo. There's 35 hours of battery life on offer, and a 10-minute charge will get you 4 hours of playback. And unlike the Enduros, these do have the auto pause feature when you take them off your head. The build quality and materials used are a step up on the Enduros, which you would expect given the fact these are $100 more. I do like the dark blue colour that Cleer sent me. I think it looks very nice. Again, I like the small design. The ear cups aren't too big. Now, when it comes to the case for the Alphas, I'm pretty sure this is the exact same case as the Sony XM4s. This is the Alpha case, and this is the Sony XM4 case. Now, I'm not suggesting that Cleer have just completely copied Sony at all, but it is spookily similar, right down to the kind of canopy thing at the back for putting stuff in. You can probably see here, they look pretty much identical. But that's a good thing because I love this case, and as a result, I love this case as well. When it comes to fit and comfort, just like the Enduros, they are very comfortable straight away. I could wear these for a long period of time. They do have a few upgrades over the Enduros in terms of the amount of padding being used, particularly the headband. That is noticeably softer and has more padding than the Enduros. But again, you'd want that given the fact that these are $100 more. Onto the controls, and unlike the Enduros, the Alphas have a mixture of hardware buttons and touch-sensitive controls. The hardware buttons, there's just two of them basically. There's a button for the power and a button for noise cancelling. That's it. Everything else, whether it be play, pause, volume up, volume down, skip tracks, has to be done with your finger on the right ear cup. Now, when it comes to sound, the spec sheet for the Alphas suggests that they have pretty much the exact same drivers as the Enduros, but they do sound very different. Now, if you A/B between the Enduros and the Alphas, it's clear that the Alphas have a much more pronounced mid-range. It's very kind of middly, which I don't quite like. The bass is also a bit more pronounced, and for me, it sounds much boxier because of those pronounced mids. There seems to be less instrument separation too. If you play Adore You by Harry Styles, that sounds like a complete mess on these headphones. I played Sledgehammer on these as well, and somehow it doesn't sound very exciting, which is quite an achievement with that particular song. Now, I did try the Dirac Virtuo spatial audio thing, and that's just really weird. Okay, it gave a bit of a wider soundstage, but it introduced some horrible distortion on certain tracks with kick drums. So sound-wise, it's disappointing, I'm afraid, particularly given the fact that these cost $249. Noise cancellation is definitely a bit better than the Enduros. Things do get quieter on the Alphas when you turn it on. The adaptive noise cancellation, it's difficult to test that really, but I suppose it's nice to know it's there. So yeah, noise cancelling, they are pretty good performers. The same goes for the calling quality. They perform pretty much identically to the Enduros in that respect. They are just a letdown when it comes to sound. In fact, I think the Enduros completely smash their big brother when it comes to the sound. The build quality is a bit better. They're slightly more comfortable. The noise cancelling is slightly better, but the sound isn't good enough, I'm afraid. Right, next up we have the Soundcore Q35s, which are $129 and made by Anker, which should be a good thing because Anker makes some fantastic accessories. And interestingly, out of all of the headphones that I'm showing you today, the Soundcore Q35s have been most requested by my audience for a review. Anker tells us the Q35s have a gold standard of sound. They also have a multi-mode noise cancellation feature, AI enhanced calls, multi-device pairing, and 40 hours of battery life, and you can get 4 hours from just a 5-minute charge, which is quite impressive. There's also auto pause, which always gets my thumbs up, and build quality wise, they're not bad. They're okay. I mean, they kind of, they feel all right. Not bad. There's some metal used. There's some fairly okayish plastic. They don't feel quite as well made as the Alphas. These are a bit of a step down, but they're not bad. And they do feel, again, like they could take a bit of stick, I think. I do quite like the look of them though. I'm quite a big fan of this dark blue colour that I was sent. And I think from a distance, they look a bit more expensive than $129. They come with a pretty good case as well. Again, it looks spookily similar to the Sony XM4 case. It's got this kind of felt thing going on, which I don't really like. It feels a bit odd, but it's pretty solid, not quite as solid as the Sony XM4. It doesn't have the canopy on the back, and there's no separator inside when you put your headphones in. It does come with this nice little bag for all the little accessories and cables and things, which is quite nice. But yeah, Soundcore, Anchor, you've got this right. This is how you do a case. There is some driver protrusion as well, so you do get a little nubbin in here, which, depending on the size of your ears and how they sit on your ears, you may start to feel that after a while. I couldn't. These do feel like pretty comfy headphones to me. Anchor have got it bang on in terms of controls because there are no touch-sensitive controls on these headphones. They just have clearly labelled physical buttons. Top marks. These Q35s put bass first, big time. In fact, the entire sound is characterized by it. Everything else is kind of dragged along by this massive wave of low frequencies. I love my bass, but even I could do with notching down that bottom frequency a little bit. It's just a bit overpowering. That said, these do produce quite a fun sound that has quite a bit of character. Sledgehammer feels like it's being played through a massive concert PA, and even Adore You by Harry Styles, it will literally knock your head off when that first kick drum hits. It does fall apart a bit on tracks like Easy on Me by Adele, where her vocal performance is marred by this emphasis on the low frequencies. It just sounds a bit tiring on tracks like that. And weirdly, they even struggle on tracks that you might think they'd suit. So take Breathe Again by Pop Evil. This is a massive sounding track, but on the Q35s, it kind of loses itself in this muddy, distorted mess. Noise cancelling, it's fine. Does the job, no problem at all. The ambient mode isn't fantastic, but I can forgive that given their price. Call quality isn't great, I'm afraid. The person I was speaking to said I sounded very muffled, and actually they sounded very muffled as well. So if you are looking for a very good pair of headphones for taking calls on, the Q35s probably aren't your best bet. For me, the sound unfortunately ruins the Q35s. I'm not one for faffing about with EQ, as I've said before. I'd rather just grab headphones and use them straight away. If I do that with these, that bass just drowns out every other aspect of the music. Lastly, we have the aiaiai.audio Move Wireless. Now these are $230, so again, they're not a cheap pair of headphones, but they're still kind of in the budget range, and they have a very interesting backstory. And that's because aiaiai come from a DJing and music production background. And there are two big differences when it comes to these headphones over the other headphones I've shown you today. The first is the fact that they are not noise cancelling, and the second is that they are modular. And the latter is perhaps the most interesting point about these headphones, because they essentially arrive in bits that you have to put together yourself. This is a drive to improve sustainability, which I'm told that most Scandinavian companies like aiaiai strive for, but also because the ability to replace pretty much every element of these headphones should, in theory, extend their longevity. So if you need a new ear cup, for instance, you can buy one and attach it. If the headband starts to look a bit tired, you can replace it yourself. If you want to swap the ear cup for a different type of ear cup, you can do that. In fact, the only thing that isn't replaceable at the moment is the battery, which I'm told they're working on currently. Now these come with a 40-hour battery life and 2-hour total charge time. Because it's modular, it looks modular, to be fair, but the plastic's quite nice. It's not particularly premium, but it is this kind of matte black feel, which I quite like the look of. They're also quite retro looking, which I quite like. You know, the fact that you see the exposed cabling here makes them pretty interesting to look at. Comfort-wise, they're very comfy headphones. There's loads of padding on the ear cups here, plenty of padding, a nice firm padding on the headband, which is great. And there's actually quite a lot of kind of natural noise cancelling going on anyway. So the fact these don't have active noise cancelling isn't a massive downer, really, because if you put these on your head, you don't hear that much outside. It's also worth noting that they are made from 30% recycled plastic, and the packaging is 100% recycled. So you really are doing your bit for the planet if you buy a pair of these. Now, when it comes to the case, I'm afraid it's a bag again, but there is an option on the table for a hard case, which comes at an additional cost, unfortunately. However, the lovely people at aiaiai have given me a discount code. So if you decide to buy a pair of these, check out the link in my description to get that case for free. Now, when it comes to controls, there is just one, which is this tiny little joystick here. There are no physical buttons apart from that, no touch sensitive controls, which is fantastic. You literally just get a little kind of joystick thing, which you do up and down for volume, left and right to skip tracks, and you push in to play and pause and turn the headphones on and off. It's so intuitive, really nice to use. You just can't believe no one else has thought of this. If someone has, if you know a pair of headphones that have a joystick control like this, let me know in the comments, I'd love to know. But this was such a surprising delight. Now, before I get onto sound, there was one issue that I ran into with these headphones, which was that the left hand channel was a bit lower in volume than the right hand channel. And it just threw off the balance slightly, not by much, just a slight dip in volume for some reason. So I spoke to aiaiai, and they suggested that a firmware fix would sort it. Unfortunately, at the moment, their firmware updater thing is only available on Windows, and the only Windows laptop I have to hand is a bit dead at the moment. So I've not been able to put that firmware update on these to see if that fixes it, which is a shame. It's not their fault. These things happen. And because it's only a slight difference in volume, I can still judge pretty well the sound on these. They are probably the flattest sounding headphones in this roundup, which isn't a surprise given their heritage. For me, they would need a little bit of EQ just to dampen the mids a little bit and just bring the top end up a little bit, but nothing major. The bass is lovely, don't need to do anything with that whatsoever. These are just a great, authentic sounding pair of headphones. I did test out the call quality as well, and although they were a little bit muffled on either side, it wasn't to any bad extent really. I don't do many calls with these types of headphones, as I've said in the past, but it didn't bother me, put it that way. I could hear that person, they could hear me, and if sound is your main thing, I'd put that above calling anyway. It's just nice to know that you can use these for calls pretty well if you need to. Now, the issue I've had with my pair is a shame, but I'd rather be honest with you about that, and equally fair on aiaiai, because this stuff does happen, and these are still a great pair of headphones. So if I had to pick one pair of headphones from this list today, it would be quite simply the Cleer Enduros. I think the price, the battery life, that wonderful sound makes them such a clear winner for me. I think the more audio conscious of you out there will prefer the aiaiai TMA2s. I think they are just fantastic sounding headphones and they have that wonderful modularity. But in terms of losers, it's a shame. The Cleer Alphas aren't good enough, I'm afraid. For their price, I think the sound should be much better. And the Soundcore Q35s, that bass ruins them for me. But if you're still thirsty for Sony headphones after all this, keep watching for a link to a recent video I made about the long-awaited XM5s, because a significant redesign has just been revealed.